When I was a kid, I lived with my parents and grandpa and grandma. I lived there until I graduated from elementary school. Although the hometown is not as prosperous as the city. But good mountains, good water, clear and leisurely. I also left many good memories there. In retrospect, it's still a bit sweet. Of course it is indispensable. There are also unforgettable experiences that make me feel scared. There is a road leading to the field in our place. There is a house made of iron on the side of the road. The appearance looks dilapidated. Some damaged places are only covered by the advertising canvas picked up. There are no other residents around. Alone there. There lives Aunt Wang Tian inside. Because I see her a lot of times. She was sitting somewhere looking up at the sky. And she often talks to the air. Always talking to yourself. Later, our children called her crazy woman. Sometimes I come home from school. If mom and dad haven't come back yet. If my grandfather happens to be going to work in the field again, I will go with him. One day grandpa took me to the place where he was going to work. I saw an aunt wearing a dirty one-piece dress on the road. I kept talking to the telephone pole. I pointed to the aunt and asked grandpa what happened to her. Grandpa immediately dialed my hand down and told me not to point at others indiscriminately. I think it's weird why that aunt is like this. When I was in school, I was curious to ask other classmates. Everyone who knows calls her Aunt Wang Tian. Later we would call her crazy woman because of Xiaoyi. Every Wednesday and Saturday. A few of our better classmates will make an appointment in the pavilion. Because those 2 days were half a day of class, school was over. We all pass by a grocery store on the way out of school. We will stay there for a short time. Because I usually pick up 1 yuan that fell on the ground at home. Or just reach out and ask grandpa for 5 yuan, I will save it. It's at this time that you can buy a few gummies. Or a few chocolate burritos. Take it to the pavilion and exchange different snacks with everyone to eat. On the way to the pavilion, we will pass an abandoned rice factory. I just saw the aunt sitting on the steps in front of the rice factory. Looking up at the sky with a lonely expression and frustration in his eyes. One of us is a more naughty classmate, Xiaoyi. Dancing in front of her, provoking and deliberately bullying her. And used a song to laugh at her as a trash ghost. Everyone hates it when they see it. Think Xiaoyi is too much. I shouted that he was gone. Say sorry to auntie again. Then dragged the other students away and continued to the pavilion. Only Xiaoyi is still singing in front of that aunt. But auntie ignored his behavior. Let Xiaoyi enjoy himself. Xiaoyi found it boring and kept up with us. There is a big stone table in the middle of the pavilion. Surrounded by 10 stone chairs, we will all sit there and play and do our homework. It's just that Xiaoyi's entertainment that day was to laugh at Aunt Wang Tian. Auntie is only 10 cars away from us. Xiaoyi sat in the pavilion and sang his own lyrics loudly. You said you are like a crazy woman, but you are destined to be a crazy woman. Xiaoyi's antics made everyone laugh. Ha ha ha, crazy woman. Ha ha ha. I don't find it funny at all. I think Aunt Wang Tian is very pitiful. It's lonely enough to be alone like this and ridiculed. I don't think it should be, so I scolded Xiaoyi again that they can't make fun of others. Xiaoyi replied with a pretended innocent expression. Okay, stop playing. Then he suddenly shouted to Aunt Wang Tian loudly. Crazy woman, I'll let you go today. I don't care about you anymore. I saw Aunt Wang Tian staring at Xiaoyi with her eyebrows raised. Within a few seconds, he walked to the rice factory again. From then on, when we talked about Aunt Wang Tian, she was called a crazy woman. When I arrived at school the next morning, I found that Xiaoyi was not in the classroom. After asking other people, no one knows why he hasn't come yet. Until the end of the first class. I heard someone outside the classroom coughing all the time. I only knew it was Xiaoyi who was here when I looked over. He has no God in his eyes. Walked to the seat to rest with a tired look on his face. I was curious to go forward and ask him. What's happened? Have you caught a cold? He shook his head and replied. I was taken aback when I heard his voice. He was so hoarse that he couldn't even say a word clearly. Didn't I say that yesterday was fine? Why did it become like this today? He replied to me that he didn't know. I started coughing inexplicably at home last night. Later, the cough got worse and worse. It's useless to drink cough syrup. So much so that I can't sleep well at night and keep dreaming. But I have forgotten what dream I had. Only when he woke up in the morning did he find his throat tingling. The sound is almost out of sound. The family took him to the doctor in the morning. The doctor said it was throat inflammation. So he went back to school after taking the medicine. The days when he couldn't speak, I found that the classroom is much quieter. One night, I went to the grocery store to help my mother buy things. I saw Aunt Wang Tian sitting in the corner next to me smiling at me. Looking back now, her smile seemed to be because of something that made her feel relieved. The smile exudes a soft look. Eyes full of joy. I nodded to her and went in to buy something. And when I finish buying and come out, Aunt Wang Tian is already standing in a dark corner waiting for me. See me coming out. She waved her hand and whispered, "Sister, sister." I walked towards her slowly. But when there are still 5 steps away from her, she just told me to stand where I was so I don't want to get any closer. Then he said, "I think you are very good. Different from your friend, croaking." I replied that Auntie is sorry, I will tell him. She interrupted me before I finished speaking. "It's okay. My friend said that my brother was hoarse. Won't scold me anymore." I looked at her suspiciously and didn't understand what she said. And what is curious is who is her friend? I asked other people, no one has seen who she usually has dealings with. In addition, Xiaoyi went home directly in those few days, didn't wander around with us. Auntie hardly touches it. Then why did she know that Xiaoyi was hoarse? After she finished speaking, she walked in the direction of her house, leaving me with a look of doubt. I have been thinking about the meaning of what she said in my mind. Just when I turned around and was about to walk home, seeing her looking back again, she muttered to herself with her hands and feet. "Who do you seem to be talking to?" I stopped. Understand in an instant. The friend in her mouth is something we can't see. I think this kind of thing is terrible. I didn't dare to run home until she was far away. When I got home, I put what my mother wanted on the table. I ran to Grandpa and told Grandpa about it. Grandpa said it was possible. Aunt Wang Tian has a friend we can't see by her side. That's why it makes us feel like she's talking to the air. Grandpa said don't talk nonsense about this outside. Let's not mess with her if we have nothing to do. But I dare not tell anyone. I'm afraid of getting into trouble.